And it seems as though teams are expecting the unexpected now. Well, you have to be on guard, but it's going to be a difficult one for a breakaway to form. But we're getting into that terrain now where it gets a bit lumpier again. You know, around 35 to go. We have a little bit of a non-categorized climb, and then it's up and down quite a bit. So it is part of the parcours where you could see some attacks, but the way the peloton is going along at the rate they're going all day, it's going to be a real difficult to see anyone getting away, because the other teams that have not contributed from the sprint teams, they will also start to start sniffing around, as we say, in the front of the peloton and be there. So I think it looks very much on for a big bunch sprint between the fast men here today.
Into the département du Lot-et-Garonne, 47. The river flowing fast. Peloton beating them at the moment. A few lumps and bumps on the way. It's not completely flat on the way in. There's Tratnik on the left-hand side. Some more food for Kwiatkowski. Energy consuming as it all is. Here's the latest lump. Certainly gets a little more tricky in the final. Just under 40 kilometers now than what it has been for the last 20 Ks. Falls flat downhill. It's just been knocking along really, really quickly. You just wonder, we're getting to that stage where stages aren't quite running out yet, but if there's an opportunity, people will be ready to take it. This is Søren Varnensholt. Just not enjoying the moment.
Well, he has been giving out the tickets for the Gruppetto for a long time here today.
The conductor.
And we also see the man from Red Bull there. His name is Nico Dents. He's been on the rear there, throwing a lot of shapes, trying to stay on the end.
A very warm welcome back to viewers of stage 12 of this Tour de France. The longest remaining stage, the only 200+ kilometer stage. Today it was billed as breakaway versus sprinters. The break is still, well, has been hanging out there. Haven't seen the front for a while. I get a suggestion that it might have just been caught. We're all back together and we are heading for a bunch sprint. Chateau de Fumel is beside the river. Look at that, they've gone for the jerseys there. Absolutely beautiful. Here's Varnensholt. 40 Ks to go. The boss conductor, as Sean was just calling into our digital platform viewers. Mark Stevens called it a roller coaster. A few little dips there. Not quite at Blackpool Pleasure Beach though, are they? This is Saint-Antoine in the middle of Fumel. Beautifully constructed. Looks very nice down there, John.
Yeah, absolutely stunning church there, the L'Église Saint-Antoine. That was built based on the plans by the man who was responsible for the development of Agen, Verdier. And we just saw the beautiful chateau of Fumel just a few moments earlier, which is another stunning chateau on the route that we've gone through so far. We've seen so many of these beautiful ones, but it has a really, really beautiful outdoor theatre there, where they get some of the biggest names in French theatre and cinema over the years have come down to be part of the Bonaguil Festival, and that continues today.
Thanks, Jono. Always the man with the knowledge. And we must stress as well the love for this land. Not all of it's pretty. There's industrial heritage there as well, which has its own delights. Of course, so says the man who was born in Northern England. Got to appreciate everything. Reminded by a producer, going to offend half of you now. Thankfully I don't take offence, but he says it's grim up north. You wouldn't guess that he's from the Shires. And won't be leaving for a while now. His words, not mine. as UAE Emirates left-hand side. Marc Soler, that Catalan rider for Tadej Pogacar, who sits fourth wheel. Yellow jersey on his back. Yesterday, of course, he lost a single second, but it was the confidence and the momentum more than the second that was won by Jonas Vingegaard yesterday. Emotional moments with that victory. Terrific performance he produced, and now the belief that he can win. We're heading to his terrain. For now, though, it seems the domain of the sprinters. Bookmakers' odds changed overnight, Sean. They now favour the day.
Well, not surprising after that ride yesterday that he done, and you know, the way he made that comeback in the final and closed down on Tadej Pogacar. And yeah, we were all talking, and all the forecasts were that he would be good in the third week, but I think it was a surprise to a lot of people, and certainly to me. I was, you know, amazed at that performance by him yesterday. And the question is now, you know, the two big favourites, and we know who they are, Pogacar and Vingegaard. Yesterday we see again. It will be a real interesting one as we get into the real difficult part of the weekend, where we're going into the big mountains. That's where we will see a clearer picture again. And let's not forget, Pogacar, he's after doing a Giro. Will that have effect on him as we go further into this race? Will Vingegaard get better? Because sometimes when you're having a lot of competition, a lot of time to prepare for a big 3-weeker, it can catch you out in the end, meaning the third week of the race, or as you get into the third week. So all that questions are still out there, and the terrain as well. You know, you have to put the questions there, because this terrain, it is going to be a really brutal final week of racing, and yeah, it's all to fight for between the big two, and maybe the guys further down the general classification, you never know, they could come better, and the two main men could start to suffer a bit. So it could all change, and it might not be the two men at really fighting out at the moment. We could be winning this tour.
Fascinating. It is beautifully balanced. Talked about those stages at the weekend. Saint-Lary-Soulan, Pla d'Adet, 4,000 meters of climbing in the first of 4 summit finishes. That's on Saturday. And then Plateau de Bay on Sunday. 4,900 meters of climbing on 14 Juillet, Bastille Day. That's a call out there to all the French to be up the road. Let's see what happens. For now, 36 k's to go, 41 kilometers per hour here. Starting to go uphill again. We've seen the GC teams coming to fight it out. They've got to stay safe today, and well, as part of the experiments we've been talking about, Sean, it's a change today and tomorrow, isn't it? It's the last 2 days of the safe zone experiment. We've got a 5-kilometer safe zone today. If there's any incident or accident, then everyone gets the same time, and tomorrow the same, 5 k's.
Yes, of course, we did talk about that yesterday. With all was going on, I forgot about the
you weren't the only one, don't worry.
And I had looked at it early in the day, actually, but I was so shocked with what was going on in the race, and the return by Vingegaard to catch Pogacar on that penultimate climb before the finish. I was a little bit stunned, really, and my mind wasn't right.
Tour today, a very tough first part. As the sprint team you guys are, how do you approaching it?
Yeah, we try, of course, to go for a bunch sprint, but that belt on the sides, what's it gonna be? Last sprints were easy to control. This one will maybe be harder. Yeah, we'll see.
We saw last year in the end of the tour that you and Mathieu actually went into a break, a state that was really hard to control. Mywhoosh won that day. Could you see that it would end up like this today, maybe?
Yeah, we have to just see. I think everybody's a little bit tired, maybe. I hope from yesterday. It was a tough day. So today is a more flat day, and also we have a tough weekend coming up. So yeah, we'll see.
You have a stage win in the pocket, 74 points behind Binyam in the green jersey. How much a focus do you have on the green jersey now after you won the first stage?
Yeah, we just try to win another one with starting today, and then you get also points. So the stage win is most important.
How are you feeling, Jasper? We're hearing a lot of illness in the peloton. How are you doing?
Yeah, I feel all right, but feeling tired, like from yesterday. But I think everybody is.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
illness, fatigue, profile, rivals, lots of obstacles to overcome. It's 75 points, by the way, now because of what happened at the intermediate sprint today. Biniam Girmay getting one better on Jasper Philipsen. This is Niels Pollitt, who's having, well, an ice bath on the neck. A proper one later on. It's warm out there today, look at that. 32.9, but real feel, 39.9 Celsius. Canicule time at the Tour de France. Heading southwest today, and well, we're in that part of the country now. The important things we talk about on this program. So it's goodbye pain au chocolat, it's hello chocolatine. Jono knows all about what to ask for. Jonathan, very famous delicacy for breakfast. I think we'll call it a delicacy, it's that good, isn't it? Changes its name in this part of the world, to the southwest.
Yeah, I mean, a pain au chocolat is the perfect way to start the day. I really quite enjoy that. But chocolatine, yeah, I mean, yeah, just all of those little nuances when you get down to the south. The pronunciation of many of the words, it takes some time to get used to, but like southern Italy, I would venture to argue I prefer it. It might be a controversial claim, but I just love the south of France, especially some of the less explored areas, and that's becoming harder to come by as the years go by, but just has that slightly rugged beauty, and everything's done at a slower rate. It's going down to Cornwall and Devon, I mean, out of season, most certainly, but just where life seems to move on at a slightly more leisurely pace, and actually a slightly more human pace, and therefore everyone's that more involved in each other's lives in a really positive way, more friendly, and something that actually I would definitely turn around and say I've experienced so much whenever I've been to the north of England as well. And I know that's no surprise to you, but it's just...
You're just making up for Doug now, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I don't ever feel the need to make up for Doug. But there's just... There's a certain... And you do get it right the way across countries and into differing amounts, and it's definitely harder in capital cities or big cities to see it happen in the same way. But there is just something rather lovely in this part of France about the pace of life and the way people are to each other.
33 Ks remain. We're building up to an expected bunch sprint. But a few little rises where pressure can be put on. A deceptively heavy day in terms of climbing today. 2,274 meters, and we've not really been up a long climb at all, Sean.
No, but we did see in the earlier parts, you know, it was quite up and down, and a lot of uncategorized climbs, a number of kilometers, you know, 2 and 3 kilometers, not any major gradient, but we've had that, you know, through a lot of the day. And as we see there, we just have a little bit of a climb there inside this 35 kilometers to go, which we've been just onto, and from there on it is pretty much straightforward. But yeah, they have all the more difficult part of the parcours done today, and you can see in the peloton we're asking the question, would there be more attacks? But the way the pace is going along and the teams that are controlling here, nobody believe that there's any chance of getting out of the peloton. And you know, it would take a massive effort from a number of riders to get out of the peloton and get that gap of, you know, 20-30 seconds. So I don't think we're going to see much action. Just this peloton going along at, you know, 46 as we can see at the moment, and it'll just get faster as we go in towards the finish. And yeah, it's going to be another big day for the sprinters and the lead out men.
And here's one of them, Luca Mozzato, with a late problem. He's had a really good year as the Italian, stepped up so much, an important man for Arnaud Démare, but he's got to make sure he keeps his cool and keeps his calm here to get back. Fortunately for him, he's in the cars and there's still a long way enough to go. I guess, Sean, it's getting back with the least amount of energy here.
Yes, well, you have to use your experience there, use the cars, and just go from car bumper to car bumper and not make the effort, get onto the rear of the peloton and just work your way through here. But yeah, he is an important job because Arnold Demar, he is a one who needs to get something out of this tour, because we know he moved teams. Kea B&B Hotels have taken him on to win a big one, and what's bigger than winning a stage in the Tour of France? So if he could, take a victory here this evening, well, that would, really make everything the move he made to the team. The team having the trust in him to take him on. But there's a lot of other riders thinking the same as Demar, who haven't won here, and they're all going to be going for it. And time is running out as well, of course. This is one of the last days, because in the final week of this race, not any opportunities for the guys. So yeah, it's going to be another hectic one, and the further you go on without getting the results, the riders, they will take a bit more risk. They say, I'm going to risk everything here, and if I come down, well, what about it? I just have to get there and have to get myself into position. So that's always a concern when you get this point.
The Tour de France is on its way to Villeneuve-sur-Lot for the first time since the year 2000. Looking back for DSM, and there's Matt. He's had a busy day today, a really busy day. And Romain Bardet is on the helper duty here. I mentioned they've had a busy day because Fabio Jakobsen needed to be looked after early on, and then it was decided that he could not continue. He's abandoned the Tour de France, so they're looking to see what they can get elsewhere. 24 years the last time that the Tour de France visited Villeneuve-sur-Lot. Eric Dekker was the last victor there. We left Aurillac today for the 8th time in the history of the Tour. Well, this time a stage started from that town. Something about sprints in this area, because it was André Greipel who would win the finish. Carmel, a bit further down the road in 2011. This is how it looks now. Ineos have a place on the front. This is what they're telling them.
If you can tell the other teams there in the front to slow down a little bit and just control the road, calm them down there.
That's the word of Dak Dempster. And look at what's happening. Left-hand side, you can see Kwiatkowski in conversation. What's the story behind that, Sean? And do they listen when you tell them that?
Well, depending on who the rider is, trying to calm the situation down on the front. And Kwiato, of course, he is a rider, been around a long time, highly respected within the other teams. And if it comes from him, there is a possibility they will, depending on what teams are on the front here. And if it's other GC teams, well, then you can do that and try and get as far into the stage as possible before it really gets nervous and the sprint teams want to, push their way to the front and get in control. So it's always worth a try, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. You just, look across left and right if there's riders at both sides of you, and just make the call, and if it works, well, great.
Let's go to Matt Stevens on the moto.
It is increasingly hotter out on the course of the Tour de France today. It is absolutely boiling. The French call it a chaleur. It is 36 degrees. Very, very warm indeed, and things are only going to get hotter as we approach the finish. Oh, I just saw something quite bizarre. You do see bizarre things on the Tour de France at the side of the road, but there you go. It's the Tour. Back to our commentators.
Now then, I wonder what the bizarre thing was. I'm guessing that it's unbroadcastable. That's why he didn't do it, because Matt's not shy telling us what he sees. Tell you what though, we had the latest meteor update, as he says, the weather update. What did we read then? 32.9. Real feel 39.9. Matt says it's 36. I think we can deduce that it's very, very hot out there. Taking its toll. Now then, has Kwiatkowski's chat with everybody worked? It sort of seems like it for now, and you were just talking about that, Sean, and sometimes they listen, but Kwiatkowski's case, he's one of the senior members of the peloton now. He's been a world champion. He's been on many a Grand Tour winning team. He's won classics himself. He's multilingual. He spends quite a bit of time. He's got a house in France, I know that. He's got a house in Spain. He's one of the guys that if he speaks, people are going to listen generally.
Generally, yes, but it depends on the mood of the peloton and what way the race is going, what the situation is out front, wind direction, all of that, because you can have as much respect as you like, but if it's really blowing, then you cannot calm anybody down because it's just crazy at the front of the peloton. This situation, still with that 27.8 kilometers to go, and when we heard that call from the Ineos director, I think it was a little bit before we see the front of the peloton, so already had slowed down a bit, and I think Kwiato was trying to do that, and it is working, because we can see now the way it's very much grouped together, and you know, there's not that madness on the front of the peloton for the moment. But the question is, how long will they be allowed to control here, the GC teams on the front of the race?
Would there be a case that other teams would listen to that now? Because, of course, a lot of them have got the telly on in the car and say, hang on a minute, we're not having this. Would everybody be in agreement, or is it a case of keeping the peace? What are the politics behind all that?
Well, I think it suits everybody. The GC riders and their leaders, their team, it suits them to get into the final as much as possible before it really gets nervous and a lot of people, you know, just fighting for positions up there. The sprint teams as well, they're happy enough with this situation, because you know, you don't have to put men on the front to control and to ride at a real fast pace to keep your sprinter in position. So it works for everybody, and the conditions are perfect, as I just said as well. So yeah, this is a perfect scenario for that to work here, and we can see the way it's going along. It's definitely, you know, 46 kilometers average traveling at the moment, and yeah, that could go on for quite a bit longer into this final here. And you know, there's nothing to really cause problems. If there was a little climb coming up and it was, you know, turning left or right, then you would see that big sprint to get into position. You know, we haven't any major difficult sections at all here of anything to talk about, so I think it will go on for a long time here before we really see opening it up for the final sprint.
There's a little climb inside the last 10 kilometers, sort of reminds you a little bit of the sprint that we had the other day. On paper, not really enough to mess things up, but I'm looking at that magic 5 kilometer mark, as they twist and turn down here, and just before we get there today, there's a big right angle turn, isn't there? I imagine that there's going to be a heck of a race into that for the GC teams as well. They're going to have to be racing right until that 5k mark to keep their guys safe.
Well, it will be, you know, if there's any little point at all where it turns or it goes up a little bit, we will see that opening pace very quickly, and you know, it's almost you know, a small sprint in the front of the peloton with the riders want to position their men, and you know, we will see that as we get inside the you know, in the final of this one. But yeah, it's a really calm situation for the moment, as we can see the way that just all across the road here. The teams that are on the front, they're happy, they're in their position, and they're going to boss that as long as possible.
You can see on the left, as we look at it, yellow helmet, Soler is there for UAE. Kwiatkowski, who we mentioned. Then in the blue and white, it's Moscon. He's looking after Evenepoel, who sits on his wheel. And yes, it's July. Vive le Tour. It's been alive since the first day, hasn't it? Florence Rimini and all the action we had. Today's the final 200 kilometer plus stage. We're only just over halfway. It's stage 12 today. And we're into the final 25 kilometers of it. Uphill ever so slightly here, 5%. Nothing too long though. Chance to take on some food and drink. So 25 kilometers to go, but the final 5 kilometers are going to be interesting. We heard earlier on about the 1.2 kilometer long straight to the line, but from just outside 5k to that 1.2k straight, it gets a little bit technical. There's a right turn just before that 5k's to go, then a kink left with about 3.7 to go. There's a more than 90-degree turn to the left, a really sharp one. We've got big warnings of central reservations. We think that they have been sort of barried off to pass on one side, or at least it tells us in the road book. We've got a roundabout, and then a chicane at 2,000 meters from the line, 2 kilometers to go. Another 90-degree turn, a bridge that takes us across the River Lot, and with just over 1.2 kilometers to go, a left turn taking us into that final sprint. And as we've talked about each and every day, the teams will have studied this in the meeting beforehand. But the work still has to be done, and it's where those riders who've been allowed to sit in, surf the wheels, be there all day, rest as much as possible, will have to come to life. And if it's a 44 k's an hour now, Sean Kelly, it's going to explode into life when we get to those final 5 k's.
Yes, it will, and you know, when we get to that point, it is technical until we get into that 1100 meters straight run to the line. There's a lot of, as you said, Rob, you know, roundabouts, a lot of corners to be negotiated, so that will make it, you know, really nervous, and you know, everybody will be just wanting to be in the front of the peloton. And problem is for the sprint team as well, you know, Albus in de Koning, we did see when Philipsen won his stage, you know, the final corner quite close to the finish. That is a perfect situation if you can just get your men on the front, and they had a man leading into the final corner. Van der Poel was in 3rd position, Philipsen in 4th, and Van der Poel just starts the sprint very early because it was a tailwind as well, so you have to do that. But this one, you know, the longer running, if you're in a good position when you come around that final, the left-hander, and you go into that final kilometre, it's a long ways, and you have to be careful not to take it up too early, or you need a lot of riders. You need 3 riders, 4 riders in front of you as a sprinter, and that's always difficult, as we've seen in this tour already. So it is a complicated one, and if you slow down a bit to allow a teammate to come up, give you a handout to launch the sprint, then there are other riders going to come very quickly from behind, and that's always a problem. You get crowded out then, so it's a bit of a, you know, a technical one here, and you know, exactly how you will do it, it will all depend how many teammates you have going into the final corner. And if you have a team leading with maybe 2 or 3 riders, if you have a teammate like Van der Poel there with Phillips in his wheel, that will be the perfect scenario if the team in front really push it on. But if they slow, then you're caught as well, because you have to wait off a bit. You cannot take it up at that point. So all of that you have to consider, and that's something immediately you have to make that decision, and that is, you know, the reflex of the lead out men, the sprinters. They have to have got the experience, and you know, some of the guys in some of the teams as well, when they get to the front, it's the Tour of France and they're in the lead, they can see the finish line 800 meters away. They can go a bit crazy and start, you know, leading out the sprint too early and put you in a position where it's going to be very difficult for you to win as a sprinter.
We're getting closer. We're already at that magic distance, 22.2 kilometers from the finish now. The nerves yesterday were frayed constantly, weren't they? Today they've sort of, since a very fast start, been kept in check. But it won't be for too long. Yes, the speed's just gone down in the last 10 kilometers, but the average speed is still a kilometre per hour faster than the fastest predicted time by the organisers today. We're at 47 kilometres per hour average. Fastest predicted time today was at 46 k's an hour, and that owes in much part to the fast start. If you're just switching on today with just over 20 kilometres to go, it took quite a while for the break to go, and it was helped in the end by a crash that happened. Thankfully everybody was back up after that crash, but a crash that happened as we see things starting to get a little quicker here at the front. And the crash happened to have 4 riders away. There were Madouas, Paché, Abramson and Turgis. They had around 3.5 minutes maximum, and they've been kept on a very tight leash all day long. This is Matej Mohoric on the left hand side as well, on our way into the final 20 k's now. His movement to the front just spurred people on to wind the gear up that little bit there, Sean.
Well, as we say in cycling terms, is he trying to sneak away? But I think he was you know, made aware that there was the team personnel up the road there to grab fresh bottles, and we've seen that's what he's moving there for. But the interesting one when the breakaway was getting away, that crash occurred, and then they got, of course, the advantage very quickly. But Turgis, I was surprised that he was riding so strong on the final climb, or to that final mountain classification climb, that he did knock it off a little bit and say to the guys, okay, I'm starting to suffer a bit, I'm going to just, you know, take a little bit of a breather here, get over the climb with you guys, and then get into the final, because, you know, that was still 68 kilometers from the finish, and he would have been very important with the guys out in front. And yeah, sometimes you ask yourself, you know, do they not speak together as much as, from my experience in the past, that's what you would do. You'd say to the guys, okay, I'm a little bit on the limit on the climb, but if I get over this one, guys, I will be able to, you know, contribute, and maybe we can go to the finish. But today, it was always looking was going to be a real difficult one to do. But you never know. There could be a flock of sheep come out in front of the peloton. It could get held up for 2 or 3 minutes, and you just never know. So you have to, you know, just play, you know, play all those tactics and see can you get into the final. But unfortunately for the four, it was never looking like that today.
Just looking down at my notes, Sean, and only one level crossing today on the route. So they really did need the flock of sheep. We're starting to get into an area now where there's a bit more road furniture, so the pace is increased and everybody wants to keep their man safe. Left, it's now Pavel Sivakov, and we have to say joyeux anniversaire to Pavel Sivakov today. Happy birthday, 27 today. Man who's getting closer to his home region. And the Pyrenees will be there at the weekend. Also, happy birthday to Lenny Martinez today, 21 years of age. This Melissa bike on the right and looking after Jonas Vingegaard. Through the centre, Bahrain, they'll be looking to do something with Bauhaus. There's Evenepoel in the white jersey. He sat alongside Carlos Rodriguez and Vinios. Both of them in the top 6. Evenepoel remains second. Evenepoel having slipped to 1:06 now. Extra minute in favour of half a minute in favour of Pogacar yesterday on the Belgian. And the pace is just upped that little bit. Count the emojis there. They all seem to be happy ones. And here we go. Plus 50 k's an hour. Start of looking around across. And once this starts, it's difficult to stop. There'll be no more diplomatic moves to try and calm things down at a summit now. This is game on.
Yes, so we can see 60 kilometers per hour at the moment, and it's just going to go all the way to the finish, and that's will just go up as we get close to the finish. You can see, you can feel it there, that tension is building.
18 kilometers to go. Been a long day, but a relatively fast day today. Faster than the fastest predicted time scheduled by the organisers. 47 k's an hour average and rising again now. We're on course for a very fast finish. Sprinters will have a chance, but how the legs blunted after yesterday. Over 2,000 meters of climbing today. The heat as well is an important factor, and one that's difficult to judge, but I can tell you that we're told real feel 39 degrees. Max even said that his motorbike was reading 36. The official temperature just short of 33. However you read it, whatever number you take, it is hot. Hydration, so important. The teams who have ridden wanting the sprint the most today, Alpecin de Koenig, who disappeared for now. They're regathering and preparing. And Movistar. Disappointment for Enric Mas. He's now in 20th position. They're putting all their eggs into the Fernando Gaviria basket. He, by the way, has not won a tour stage in 6 years. Would have been difficult for him to do so in the meantime, given the fact he wasn't brought to the race. But he's looking better this year.
Yes, and have been looking better in this tour. We've seen him, you know, he's been up there quite close on a number of times, and as a sprinter, you know, that gives you the confidence. And depend on how you're feeling at this point in the race. If you're feeling still quite good, well then you have a big morale, and you know he is going to be up for it. And yeah, the pressure is on because, as you said, within the team of Movistar, yeah, Matt, very disappointing yesterday, lost a stack of time, so the big pressure is on the sprinter here, Gaviria, to try and get something. And if they could get a stage win here this evening, well then that would be a good tour for them. A little bit disappointing, of course, with Mass not being in the fight, more so up in the general classification, but that would calm the ship big time if they could get the win.
5 long years since Fernando Gaviria won a Grand Tour stage of any kind. I know there'll be people shouting at the telly there if you're a Gaviria supporter. Saw a few comments yesterday that the Pogacar fans are doing the same. We mentioned the fact he hadn't lost a 2-up sprint, but that's our job, to look at those things and mention them. And the sequences are, of course, there for the riders to break them. Gaviria will be confident. He has to be if his team's riding. But he might also start to feel the pressure, given that they have ridden all day.
Well, sometimes, Rob, the pressure, you see teams riding at a point in the stage where you say, why are they riding so early? Why are they doing so much? But that's a director sportive tactic as well. Put the guys out there in front, and you know, your sprinter then, he knows that, yeah, they're doing everything for him, and sometimes it can motivate a guy a bit more, because a lot of those really talented bike riders, some of them can be lazy enough, and to get them really motivated, you know, you need to do a lot. And by doing that with the team in front for a long time during the day, taking control, sometimes it does work out.
And keep your eye on those blue jerseys for Movistar. How will Wout van Aert be feeling? He's on the right hand side as we look at it. Just at the back of a small line. It also includes Christophe Laporte. That's man himself, the European champion. Through the centre, Israel Premier Tech, and they've had an ever-improving Pascal Ackermann. Always been there or thereabouts. Do not be surprised if he gets into the mix today. And Alpecin de Koenig continue to wait. They've done their hard work for now. They'll change grey jerseys, sitting further back. And it'll be a big job yet again for that big actor, the world champion, Mathieu van der Poel, to get that lead out right. There, Sem, we saw Bram Velten escorted back to the peloton by Romain Bardet, which suggests that he might be given his opportunity now that Fabio Jakobsen has had to go home. And all the other actors, superstars, who've been trying to win a sprint so far. Biniam Girmay will have to try and be as good as he can be in the sprint. Could he get a hat-trick? A reminder, he's taken 1 point back today on Jasper Philipsen. Played it well tactically, did Intermarché. Even looked to try and maybe make a break earlier on, or at least make it a hard day. But now Binny has to bring it again, doesn't he, Sean?
Yes, and in the position that Binny is in, you know, when you're at the green jersey and you have a real strong hold of that classification, as he has got over his main rival Philipsen, you're a little bit, yeah, I have to be careful here. I cannot take too much risk in case I come down a big pile up and then I lose all possibility of getting into the places. And from experience, I remember, you know, that is on your mind as you go further into the race. So for Girmay, that could be a one where, you know, he might be capable of winning a stage if he's really good at this point in the race, and the other sprinters are blunted a bit. But sometimes, you know, you knock off a bit going into a corner, you don't go for a gap that's a little bit tight because, you know, you're thinking, I don't want to take that high risk, and I want to be sure to get to the finish in one piece and hopefully pick up some points. And you know, that can affect your performance on the stage. You possibly could, you know, maybe 1-1 because you're thinking of the green jersey all the time. It can just take a bit from your end result at the end of a, you know, a big sprint day.
Binny there in the green. Dully on the left in the Belgian champions jersey. We saw Batman there as well. Dylan Groenewegen. Wonder if he's got the glasses on today. Of course, they worked for him. You have to say it was the legs, though. And Jake Lula bring the Dutch champion to the front. Mark Cavendish. No Miguel Marco today. But he does have ball. There is Ballerini. There's plenty of firepower to put him into the right place, and we saw what he can do when he surfs and follow the wheels.
Yes, and there are, you know, so many sprinters still in here. As you mentioned, Rob, you know, this final run to the line as well, it will suit the guys who have the big power. If they're in the position and they can get, well then, you know, Groenewegen, if he can get out and you know, open up his sprint at the right point, he is going to be a one very much in it. You know, Phil Bauhaus as well, another one who likes maybe the more straight run in the end. Sam Bennett as well, another one who maybe not great if it's very technically close to the finish, but it's all about getting the ride into that position where you do not have to make the effort to move up. You rely a lot on teammates, and then in that final we see a crash here.
And a crash behind, yep, it looked like a rider from Astana hitting the ground.
From the pool.
Astana, Kazakhstan, found the pool caught up behind it. We've got a rider from Lotto Destiny down here, and that does not look good at all. Oh no, the rider, or the bike that's down, belongs to Jared Drisnes. Number 124, Jared Drisnes on the left-hand side. Looks to be on the ground here, and that is worrying. Again, one of the bikes on the left that belonged to Drisnes. There was another rider holding up the bike, 126. That was Maxim Vokhils. That looks like Ballerini, maybe?
Yes, it looks like Ballerini. He just touched the island there in the middle of the road. We can see there, you know, no protection at all, and yeah, just getting pushed a little bit, and over they go.
That looks worrying.
And then, of course, on the left side we see everybody, you know, hears the crash and try to move a little bit, and yeah, they tangle together, and down they go on the left-hand side.
Rider down from Arkea, two riders waiting, so you can only guess who it might be. Let's see. Rider there with an issue too for Jaco Alula. Two riders waiting with the rider from Lotto Destiny, which is extremely worrying. And on the right-hand side, the rider from Astana there. Just wait to confirm who that was. It was one of the riders from Astana. It looked like it could be Ballerini, but this is the scene at the front that just shows it can happen anytime.
Well, this is the problem, Rob, when you're so packed together here and you're going at this pace. You know, something happened, there's no space at all. As you can see here, it happened in the middle of the road because of, you know, the traffic dividers, and yeah, you know, you're going to have a number of riders going down, and yeah, it looks like there are a few riders not in great getting back on their bikes here, unfortunately.
The rider from Astana is not Ballerini, looks more like Lutsenko.
And is that 165 from Arkea?
That would be Raul Garcia Pierne if that were the case. Certainly looks like it is. Now then, hello. Primož Roglic has been caught out here. And this is a problem for Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe for the moment. They've got all of the team working, caught up behind the crash. Now, has he gone down? Let's have a look. On first inspection, doesn't look like it. But there has been an issue for Primož Roglic. We are 10 kilometers to go. He's got 800 meters to make it up to the back of the peloton. Of course, any marks on Roglic, remember he crashed on his left side yesterday. Now then, keep your eye on this. There's the rider going down from Astana. There's a rider who goes over from Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Now, is that Roglic? Or does he get caught up behind it? Oh my word.
A number of riders from Red Bull there we can see. A rider going down, and then three other riders in panic trying to just slow down and stay on their bikes. But yes, we can see here 10 kilometers to go. This is going to be an interesting one, because it is going to start ramping up here in the front, because you know it's going to be the sprinters teams who want to take control here, and you can see quite a big gap to bridge here.
1 minute 14 for Primož Roglic. Now what happens here? Because it's not as if you can stop the gain now, Sean, and tell everyone to slow down. The sprinters teams want to sprint here, and everyone else wants to stay safe. It's only 9 k's to the line.
Yes, well, this is going to be a real difficult one for them to get back in here. They have to make a big effort and try and get back in as quickly as possible, because the further you go to the finish here, it's just going to get faster. But you know, there's nobody up in the pace big time. This is what we were going when the crash occurred, sorry, and they're continuing on the same pace. They're not going to knock it off. The GC teams want to hold their place. The sprinters teams that are in the position, they want to stay there, and for that reason we can see this gap is quite a big one for the moment, with just under 9k to go.
We wait to try and confirm which rider from Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe went down. From where I was looking at there, Sean, it was a little too pixelated to pronounce on the exact rider. Roglic at the back of a group on the way back here, 117 back and getting further. On the right hand side, you've got several riders from Movistar. Quite a few have been caught out by this. There is Mathieu van der Poel as well. Now that's interesting. A man less for Jasper Philipsen, by the way, who already has Søren Kragh and Jonas Rickert at 22 minutes. So things could be changing as far as the sprint's concerned. Philipsen is here on the left-hand side at the base of the picture, and he has one man in front of him right now. That's Gianni Vermeers. So the lead-out and the approach anyway is going to change regardless of whether they get back in or not. It looks as though Van der Poel is really struggling to get back in. There's so much happening there, and all at a moment that looked pretty innocuous. One of the calmer moments of the day, but it's often like that, isn't it? Well, here's Roglic.
Yes, at any moment in the final, when they're really grouped together like that, and you're coming through those points where it does get hyper dangerous, and when riders go down, we can see the amount of riders have been delayed as Roglic try and work his way back through the grooves that are out the back of the peloton. There's a lot of riders here, they don't have to get back at all now in this final 10 kilometers, so they are just knocking off their effort, and that makes it more difficult for the Red Bull guys to get back in.
And Visma now go to the front. They are riding. It's Wout van Aert sitting 3 wheels back, and Jan Tratnik, fellow Slovenian, riding. 7Ks to go. It's happened late. The game's already on. It's hard lines on Roglic, and it looks now, Sean, that he's getting further rather than closer. And all of the talk about would he be there after yesterday? Problems in the mountains, still hanging on one of the most innocuous finishes going into the finale of any stage. It's there where his GC challenge might be going up in smoke.
Yes, well, we can see 124 is just going out the way and the wrong way for Primož Roglic here, and yeah, the crash occurring there, both sides of the road, so that did not allow the team cars to flow through for quite a while. You could see the gap there for Roglic to try and bridge. No cavalcade of cars really all together, so it's proving a major one, and it looks like he's going to have time loss at the end of this one.
I mean, what does the group look like to you? Because it doesn't look like there's loads of energy in that group and they're pulling.
Well, I think it was calm for a while after the crash, but you can see now we're going up to 78 kilometers per hour. That tells that the pace is just ramping up all the time, and it has been only for the last 2 or 3 kilometers, but we're inside that point where it is going to happen. It cannot just stay at a slower pace after the crash, and yeah, unfortunately, in the end of a stage like this, the peloton is not going to slow down when you're in the very final.
I was actually talking about the Roglic group there, trying to bring them on, but I completely understand what you get in terms of this, because it is into that turn going into 5Ks to go now, and after this point here, any incident or accident for anybody and they all get the same time, it's Astana Kazakhstan who now take it up, and Roglic losing time all the time, 1:32 and counting. Here are Visma Lease bike, and Wout van Aert moves up on the far side. Mark Cavendish still has Kees Bol in front of him. Phil Bauhaus is there. Pogacar's there. 5Ks to go. Any issues for anybody here, and everyone gets the same time. But Pogacar's not taking any chances. He wants to be at the front because we twist and turn all the way into the final 1.2 kilometers to go. We're approaching 4.8 to go here. It's just a kink in the road that's coming up to the left-hand side now. Christoph there following. Arnaud Démar's in a good place. You can see Philipsen being moved up in the grey jersey. A reminder, no Mathieu van der Poel today to lead him out. Abramson's doing what he can to try and put his main man Christoph into the right place. Next big turn comes at around 3.7 to go. Gaviria in the meantime a little further back. He's got Oliveira here trying to hit the front. And it's all a little broken up. You don't have these big blocks of teams here, Sean.
No, we haven't a big fight. We can see there it's going at quite a fast rate, but still is not as hectic as we've seen some of the days in this one. And yeah, we're getting ever so closer now to the more technical part.
A reminder that Primož Roglic, as they turn left here, is at over a minute and a half down after either crashing or being caught up in that crash behind. 3.5 kilometers to go, and it's strong out here at the front. An opportunity for DSM to try and do what they can. Their main sprinter, Fabio Jakobs, has had to leave the Tour de France today. In the meantime, further back, this is Hugo Page. He won't be there to help Biniam Girmay, and Primož Roglic riding in here. Just meant, when I asked you before about Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, I meant the demeanour here, Sean. Let's put it this way, I've seen them ride with more urgency.
Yes, well, that's true. When you look at them here, they don't seem to be giving it full on at the moment, and a little bit earlier as well when we panned back to them, it looked like it wasn't a panic situation, which I was expecting that they would have to, you know, really get into the back end of the peloton quickly, because it was only going to go faster out front as we approached closer to the finish.
I just wonder if it was Roglic who went down and he was not feeling right. 2.7 kilometers to go now. There will be a sprint of sorts here, and Abrahamsen still digs deep to find yet more energy after being out in the breakaway all day. Uno X Mobility are looking for their first ever Tour de France stage win. Alexander Kristoff will be the man to try and bring it for them. Further back, it's Roglic at 4Ks to go, and more time is being shipped. 1:48 now to the Slovenian, as his Tour de France challenge is going to end on the side of a road, it seems, with that crash. He is losing a lot of time that surely realistically will be extremely difficult to bring back. 2 kilometers to go. Right turn here, a little bit of a chicane. Another right turn coming up, and then they will cross the river Lot. It's Abrahamsen who continues to make this turn. It's a long one. Cavendish still in there, just on the wheel of Girmay. Philipsen just in front of them. He's in the green jersey now. There is that right turn, and they're heading to the bridge. Okay, Samsic just bumped down a little, but they're still there. The DSM, I think we're expecting Velten, but you'll have to see. Vandenberg is at the base of the shot, and Arnaud Delis, Sean's just being brought up as Phil Bauhaus sits beautifully placed.
Yes, we can see there Delis, he's been sitting there. We can see also from Israel, Ackermann is very much in a good position there. And we can see here, you know, 1.3 to go. It's not full on whatsoever at the moment, but yeah, position, that's where you've got to be. And now we're getting into the final 1,200 meters, and this final straight is going to be an interesting one. You can afford to be a bit further back, 8 or 10 position, if you have a teammate around you to move you up at the right time and just drop you off.
They've taken the final left turn. They're now inside the final 900 meters, and there's an opportunity for Phil Bauhaus to try and make this tour a good one. It's been disappointing today for Bahrain. They've lost 2 of their riders in the last 24 hours, and now they have their big German sprinter with another compatriot, Ackermann, just behind. There's Arnaud Demar, who's not ridden a Grand Tour for 2 years. He's trying to get involved in the sprints again. On the left-hand side, you can see that moving up now is an opportunity, and it is Michael Matthews on the right, but on his wheel is Wout van Aert. It's stop, start, stuff coming into the final 400 meters. Arnaud Demar in the red jersey is there. Brom Velten's trying to get up and involved as well. Cavendish continues to follow, but it's not opened up for him just yet. He's on the wheel now, as on the left-hand side, it's going to be Demar who goes. He closes the door on Wout van Aert. It's Demar on the left who hits the front. Cavendish following Girmay through the centre. Girmay now hits the centre, and can he hit the front? It's Demar though who keeps it. Arnaud Demar, but no, Biniam Girmay raises his hands, and it's a hat trick for Biniam Girmay. Sensational stuff with tremendous timing once more. 3 up for Bini, and in control of the green jersey. A stop-start sprint. It was a strange old watch that, but Biniam Girmay has done it again. And Sean Kelly, nobody can live with this man at this tour.
What a sprint there by Girmay. You know, just waiting to the right moment to kick off his sprint, but also having the power. We could see Demar looked like he was, going to take it here, but Germain just coming at the right moment and getting past. And was it Van Aert was in the shake there as well in the middle? As we can see, this is the man.
Now we know why.
Yes,
we did not see that shot, did we? We're seeing him from the other side. The demeanor did look funny. It looked almost resigned, didn't it, straight after that crash? And for Primož Roglic, still with a kilometre to go, he's over a minute down. Well, crashes, crashes, crashes for Roglic. Delight 3 times for Intermarché. And it was Roglic who hit the deck. It is Roglic who's going to suffer a big time loss. And Sean Kelly, it looks as though, barring a tremendous, almost miraculous comeback, that's that in terms of Primož Roglic being able to win this Tour de France.
Well, this is going to make it pretty much impossible for him, because we know he isn't, the strongest one in the race. He's struggling to stay with the better men who are fighting to win this or to get on the podium, and this time loss is going to be, a big hit for him. And we also have to weigh the injuries as well. As you said, Rob, it looked like they were not pushing on maybe as much as you'd expect them, but yeah, what a bad look this guy is having. Yesterday we did see him just sliding out there. Luckily he was inside, the 3 kilometers to go, but today is going to be a massive time loss.
Rog looking resigned. You could just tell by the demeanor of the chase, the lack of urgency. The first time you see it, you almost don't want to comment. It just looks strange. It continued, but it looks absolutely brilliant for Bini. Extending his lead today in the green jersey competition, making it a hat-trick of victories. The fairy tale tour continues, and this is how he did it. On the left-hand side, it's Demar. In the middle of him and Girmay, you can see Van Aert. Philipsen was there as well, but right on the line, Biniam Girmay there to celebrate. Impeccable timing.
Yes, well, timing and having that power in the final 100 meters to just get over everybody. But Van Aert also, he had to check a bit out. He was over on the right hand side of the road facing the finish, and he came through in the middle, and it just shows, if you take it up on the front that little bit too early, as Demar had to do here, and the other guys just coming over him in the throat of the line.
It's Girmay alongside Van Aert and Demar, Ackermann, Cavendish, Philipsen. Philipsen's placing there with Girmay's win puts a heck of a lot of distance in the green jersey competition. Now then, the other big story here is this. There was a crash through that central reservation. Once again caused by another rider. I think it might have been Lutsenko that went down. Roglic, having seen the images we've now seen, obviously went down on his right-hand side. This is how stage 12 ends. Biniam Girmay beats Wout van Aert and Arnaud Demar to a hat-trick, tremendous third stage victory at this tour, and holds on to the green jersey.
What a performance by Girmay. We are trying.
And as we go, just trying to get an interview here with Biniam Girmay. I think we'll have to wait just a few moments for that, but he is a man making headlines and setting records. Here is Anders with a reaction straight after the stage.
Biniam Girmay, man of the hour, thanking his teammate. What a performance, hat-trick for Intermarché. And let's see if we can get a quick reaction from Kobe Gosens. Kobe, we are
We're live on Eurosport, a hat trick by Vinny. What does this mean?
It's incredible. It's never seen. I think the team never won a stage in Tour. And now we win 3 stages. We do really good. I think for the green jersey, it's really amazing. Yeah, we knew before the start the stage that finish fifth. Even if it's more hard, it's better for Vinny. And we tried to have a good breakaway go, and the plan worked out so well. And Vinny wins in the end. It's really amazing.
What did he say to you when you hug each other here?
Yeah, thank you. And we worked so good together all the day, the team. And he's such a good guy. He's really thankful, and it's a pleasure to work with him.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And that is most definitely the sentiment that is apparent. What a performance from him. Complaining of pain in that wrist after his crash the day before, really struggling, and yet still able to propel himself into second place on today's stage. Viniam Gamay winning a 3rd stage on this year's tour, giving, as we just heard from Kobe Goossens and Tamashe Wanti, their 3rd stage win in Tour history. Let's go and hear from Wout van Aert.
Well, it's the 2nd place. What's your feeling now?
Yeah, disappointed because I was boxed in between the Mar and the barrier, and I should look it back what happened, but anyway, I had to relaunch my sprint then,